Hello, everyone. Welcome to our keynote session on creating a digital-only brand. We have with us today Mr. Harsh Jain, co-founder and CEO, Dream11. I would request all the delegates to keep posting their questions in the chat box, and we will address a selected few at the end of the session. Over to you, Mr. Jain.
Thanks, Aparna. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be speaking here today. And, I've been asked to address about how a digital brand, um, our journey, how it's been from a digital only brand doing the amount of brand marketing we now do on ATL as well. And so I thought I'll keep this fairly interactive by speaking for maybe about 15 minutes about the journey, about where we've gone from our inception till today. Of course, very proud moment for us that we are now the title sponsors of the arguably the largest sports property in the world is for cricket is Dream11 IPL now. And so I'll be happy to talk through the journey and then maybe leave 10-15 minutes for open Q&A. So please send in your questions. I'll be happy to answer them. So, this whole journey started with I'm a Bombay boy, born and brought up. And from Mumbai, I did my 10th grade and then went to London for high school. But I was always a big Manchester United and football fan. Of Team India, obviously, Indian cricket runs in the blood. But when I went to London as a football fan, I got to know of the phenomenon that is fantasy football. And fell hard for fantasy football. Till date, I'm a major fantasy football fanatic on the FPL website. It's an open secret that I play more fantasy football on the FPL website than I do on Dream11. Fantasy cricket, though, is on Dream11. And so when I got to know about fantasy football, that's the way I kept in touch with all my friends back home. While I was 2 years in the UK and then 4 years in engineering in the US in UPenn, I kept in touch with all my friends through those 6 years, primarily through fantasy sports. And I understood the power of social interaction for sports fans through fantasy. And in the US, it's about 70% of online sports fans play fantasy sports. So you're almost not a real sports fan unless you've dabbled in a league or a group of friends with a fantasy sports group. But what happened when I came to India in 2007 was that IPL was just launching in 2008. And so people were talking about IPL and how amazing, how exciting it is. And I went looking for fantasy cricket with my friends, and there was none. And that was like baffling. And then I found out that Super Selector had started in the early 2000s, but then I think it was just right product, wrong time. It was too early for its time. And so it shut down in, I think, about 2003, 4, or somewhere around there. And so in 2008, IPL was launching without a fantasy game. And that was a very personal problem for me to solve because fantasy cricket was the way I expected people to actively engage with cricket. And so I asked my friends if they'd like to join me, and only one of them, Bhavit Sheth, was crazy enough to join me. And we started our journey then. We went around asking a bunch of gurus and a bunch of like tech gurus and industry gurus that we wanted to launch this. And for all the standard marketing philosophies of doing a study of some of these large consulting firms, etc., everyone told us what a terrible idea it was, right? Every person we met told us it's a really crappy idea. It's never going to take off in India. And, being stubborn and steadfast in our resolve to solve this problem, we went ahead and launched anyways. We were 22 years old, right? So, we were like, forget it. We'll just launch it and see what happens. And it turns out they were right. All of them were right. It was a terrible idea. 2008, 9, 10, we actually burnt all of our friends and family round that we had raised and learned what not to do, which was no season long fantasy sports, no free to play with ad money and prizes, and no putting in like fantasy cricket, cricket games, cricket blogs, scores, news, feed, chat, messages, poll, because that's what we did. So it was feature overload, and we didn't focus our value addition to the Indian consumer, Indian sports consumer, just to the main problem, which was fantasy. So, as a B2C company that's running a product and that's run out of money, we wanted to pivot. Now, for pivoting, you still need money, right? You have to pay salaries, you have to wait, you have to try experiments. And so, on the side, we started a marketing agency, a digital agency. So, the first of its kind, which was focused back in 2010 on social media alone. And so, we ended up managing the accounts for like social media, for Facebook, for Twitter. We actually launched and or managed some of the accounts for Adidas, Discovery, Lufthansa, Reliance, Mumbai Indians, um, to name a few. We had about 50 clients at that time, and we had offices in 5 cities. So if you'd asked me in 2011 what I do, I would have said we run an agency called Red Digital. And if you really pushed me, I would have said that, oh yeah, we have this passion project on Dream 11 on the side. So we got in money from the digital agency, and we made some money on the servicing part, and we pumped it back into the Dream, if you excuse the pun. And that B2C side, we kept pivoting till 2012 when we launched what you see today. And that's when we started seeing, hey, this is a model that works. We took the shampoo bottle example, right? That the Indian consumer doesn't buy shampoo bottles, they prefer the sachets. And so we got that season long fantasy down to per match, because Indian consumers, as I'm sure the entire marketing world knows, they don't like to commit long term to certain products, which was basically season long fantasy. They like instant gratification, which is only possible when you do per match, not for a whole season. And they want to play with friends, and they want to stay hooked to the product. They want high engagement. And so we launched per match fantasy sports, which was a freemium model, and that started working. So in 2012, we sold the agency, put back the money that we got from there into the product, continued our journey, and got product market fit in the next 3 years. And throughout that time, we focused on organic growth hacking. We didn't have money to spend on like big campaigns, so we had highly targeted digital marketing only, very small, and we focused on things like virality, getting users to invite their friends. Because honestly, I see a lot of products today that use marketing from the get go, and I think that's the wrong thing to do. You need to develop product market fit first, and then once you get product market fit, you need to have the ability to scale. But I don't believe in developing product market fit via marketing. And so, we pushed and pushed for those 3 years until we had about 300,000 users. So we had 3 lakh users in 2015 when we raised our Series A round of funding. And that gave us the capital we needed to really push marketing more. And then 2015, 16, 17, we actually pushed a lot on digital performance advertising only. We never touched ATL or brand marketing because we wanted to scale up on our unit economics and prove that at scale those cohorts work. And so highly targeting users on Facebook, on Google, on every platform that we could get our hands on where we could target sports fans, we did on Hotstar, on Crickbuzz, on every sports property. And then in 2017, we did the bold move of doing two different things. We started partnering with leagues. And one of our first league partnerships, I believe, was the Caribbean Premier League, which is going on even right now in its 4th season, I believe. And we became a league partner for the first time. So we got a bunch of sports athletes from CPL to endorse us. The league was endorsing us. And we also signed up Harsha Bhogle as our first brand ambassador, because we wanted to position the game very strongly as a game of skill that requires analytics and research and thought, and not just like a marketing gimmick. And so Harsha Bhogle fit the bill perfectly. and we were very excited to bring him on board. And so everything we do at Dream 11 is like an A/B test, right? So first we got Harsha Bhogle on board, and we saw the difference and the delta in our numbers by having a brand ambassador endorse us. But even with that, all our advertising was still performance driven with a brand ambassador. Then in 2018, we actually started expanding to trying out TV advertising for the first time. So we started on our brand marketing journey after having scaled up performance advertising with digital advertising for many years and knowing that inside out. And so very interesting story is that a lot of people ask us about how do we sign Dhoni. And it's a very interesting story for all the marketing people out there, is that very uniquely, the tagline chose Dhoni rather than develop a tagline after getting on Dhoni. So along with our agency at the time, we were brainstorming on what's a good tagline for our campaign, and we decided that we wanted to say something about khelo dimag se, right? And what just stuck was dimag se Dhoni, because he personified playing cricket, but more with the mind, even more than his skills or as a batsman and as a wicketkeeper. It's his captaincy and his cricketing genius mind that was actually more important. And that's exactly what it was for our users, right? We wanted to say that fantasy cricket is about choosing the right players and getting them to perform. And so he fit the bill perfectly. And then we took that tagline to him and said, look, we want to launch this Dimag Se Dhoni. And he loved it. And that's how we signed on Dhoni in 2018 and started our brand ambassador journey with TV advertising. And along with that, we ended up signing a bunch of new leagues as well. We signed the National Basketball Association, the NBA, for the Indian market, the BBL, the Big Bash League in Australia, for the Indian market. And we started having chats with the ICC and the BCCI and the IPL. And then 2019, we ended up signing ICC and IPL and BCCI. And we started growing our portfolio of brand ambassadors of athletes from Dhoni to, I believe now we have about 28 to 30 of them as our brand ambassadors, all sports athletes endorsing us. And we now have about 18 or 19 leagues in the world that we are the brand partner for fantasy sports. And that's been a journey in a nutshell. And so, if you may, the IPL official partnership that we took last year was kind of a test for us. And when we saw the delta, that's what helped us to go in and bid this year for the title sponsorship. And this too will turn out to be a test for us because we have it for 1 year. And so we believe it's going to be amazing. And the IPL is going to break all records because 1 billion people with access to TV have been stuck at home for 5 months, right? We're sick and tired of watching the same reruns, and there's very little original content coming out now because even production has taken a hit. And so every day watching reruns, we're now going to have an opportunity, 7:30 p.m. for 53 days. Essentially, you're going to have a blockbuster family entertainment 4-hour experience, which is going to have action, comedy, drama, everything that you can want with superstars every day. New, right? To your home with all your family to watch. And so we're really doubling down on this IPL, assuming it's going to break all records. We're sure it will. And it'll be very interesting to see how our brand journey from a digital only brand, we've built it up to from organic and pushing referrals to adding on digital marketing, to adding on brand marketing on digital platforms, to brand marketing on ATL, from Harsha Bhogle to having 28 brand ambassadors, from one league to having 18 leagues worldwide, to having now 6 IPL teams as well. It's been a very interesting journey, and I think it's culminating now with Dream 11 IPL, and that's the big next leapfrog for us for our marketing journey. So we'll see how it goes from here. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that anyone has on marketing. Thank you. So Aparna, I can have a look at the questions here.
Sure, Mr. Jain. We have a question from Neeraj Modani asking, you have a good competition now. How you tend to stay ahead as a brand? Every other cricketer is part of some of your competitor. What's your call on it?
So probably not the right forum to say this, but I've always been a believer that product will always trump marketing, right? And marketing is only great if the product is amazing, right? You can't sell a shitty product. And at the same time, you if your marketing isn't that good, but your product is amazing, it can still succeed. So yes, we have at the last I counted, I think 184 competitors. It's a crowded space, but the final focus is on the product and on the brand recall. And we've got a major head start in an area where there's amazing network effects. Fantasy sports is not like a commodity. It's not like, let's say, buying this phone, right? This phone, if I can get for like, if it's an iPhone X, right? If I can get it for 1 lakh, or if I'm getting it on 1 lakh on one e-commerce site, and I go to the other e-commerce site, which I'm not that loyal to, but I get it for 90,000, I'll buy it there. I don't care. It's the same phone, right? Fantasy sports is played with friends. So they develop network effects because your friends play together in leagues on one platform. So if a new competitor comes in the market, it's not just a friend that has to move. The friend has to move their entire group of friends with them to a new fantasy point system, to a new gameplay, to a new format. And unless that product is far superior than ours, the escape velocity, the propensity to move is very low. The escape velocity is very high for users to move from our product to another. So it's up to our product team. And for us, our product and tech team will make sure that we stay ahead by having the best fantasy sports experience on our product, while the marketing team does its job of going and spreading the word and making sure that we position ourselves the right way. So I think it's very important for brands to build moats around product and to have that competitive advantage. Your marketing campaign, signing on a brand ambassador or a league cannot be your moat. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you so much, Harsh. Our second question that we have in is the fact that Dream 11 is not available on Play Store appears to have not stopped its success. So what advice do you have for other app and game developers?
My advice would be that if you're starting out, I hope that you're available on the Play Store because it is much easier for distribution, right? But look, we've seen whatever hurdles come in your way, you have to figure out how to surpass them. And yeah, it's been a very difficult journey to convince people to download our app as an APK and feel those questions on why we're not on the Play Store. And the Indian consumers don't understand that, right? Like, why are you not on the Play Store? Does it mean that this is illegal? And it's impossible to explain to them that no, it's just that Play Store has a policy against real money gaming. It's not about legality or illegality. But yes, it's been a very difficult part. But I think over time, if your product adds enough value, people will find it. If your product, I mean, there are some mobile manufacturers who've done only online, right? Whereas we've been used to like buying everything offline on retail, touch and feel the mobile, but we're still buying it online now. It's a change in habit, and if you add enough value, then today, the next phone I buy, I never go to the store. I don't check out an iPhone and say, oh, I like how it feels in my hand. Okay, now I'll buy it. I just buy the next iPhone online because it adds enough value to me. So if you add enough value to consumers, wherever you are, they will find you. But yeah, Play Store has been one of our biggest challenges of growth. But I believe that 82 million times we've 8.2 crore people, we've been able to surpass that challenge and get them to download and install our app on their phone. So we're hoping that we surpass this IPL more than 10 crore people to do that.
Wow, that's great. So another question that has come in is, if mobile entertainment time is finite, how do you see the proportions of gaming to VOD to social playing out in the future?
Mobile entertainment time is obviously finite, but the great part about our platform is that it actually engages you with the sports match you love. So we're not trying to keep you hooked on to Dream 11 platform. We want you to come, build your team, participate in contests, and then go watch the match and have 10 times the fun of watching the match, right? So we don't need you to be on Dream 11. The average user spends about 30 minutes a day on Dream 11 when they're picking a match, making their team, researching, getting analytics on whom to pick, why to pick, and then joining a contest, and then they're done. Then the rest of the time is actually spent consuming the actual sports event on TV, watching with friends, doing all of that. And so I think on the question of like gaming to video on demand and to social playing, I think yes, those are all great things, and that you can engage your audiences more. But build on something people already love to do. They already love to watch sports. How do you make that more exciting? How do you make it more? A lot of brands are now doing social experiences and watch parties for sports. And I think that's going to play a big part until COVID dies down, at least, but even in the long term. So I see this social and VOD playing a big part in socializing the entire sports viewership experience at home.
Great. Harsh, we have a lot of questions flowing in. So another one is from Grishma Khojdas. She asks, in today's fast-growing digital world, can we think of building a brand only with social media and Google and other platforms while not actually investing in retail merchandising and distribution?
Absolutely. I mean, you can think of anything you want if you put your mind to it and you put effort behind it, and the market is large enough and you add value as a product. Absolutely. There's several brands that have built that have come into areas which have been inundated with incumbents, very large incumbents, and have been able to make their mark by just focusing on digital. We as a country are extremely fortunate that our local digital audience is hundreds of millions of people, right? Very few countries in the world have that. And I think we have this amazing competitive advantage to be in India, to serve the Indian audience as Indian companies and really focus on just growth with digital. You don't need to have retail and distribution for most things online that I can think of. And then once you get very positive unit economics, once you achieve a certain scale, then you can step into doing more. But I think it's very important for people to focus on highly controllable, highly dynamic places to start off with, because offline is much less control, right? Once you launch a shop, once you have a retail outlet, it's very hard to like just close it tomorrow and change it and pivot it. I think the digital world allows you to be so dynamic and allows you to experiment, change every day, scale up and down every day. And I think that's more than enough for the first few years of any business.
So I guess we have time for just two more questions. So the second last question is, can you throw some light on how you measure the value or impact of brand spends, like on TV, IPL sponsorship, celebrity endorsement, etc.? And this is from Snehita Avrinik. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong.
So, Snehita, that's a very good question. And that's a question I think every single person in the world who's spending on brand spends is asking every day. And whoever has the answer to this is going to become definitely going to create the next billion-dollar company. But it's very difficult, right? Whatever anyone tells you, whatever they tell you about the BARC ratings and about this rating and that rating and this Nielsen study and all of that, it is very, very difficult to ascertain exactly how to measure, especially compared to digital, where you can measure every click, every user, every cohort, and their lifetime. It is extremely hard to ascertain how to measure and attribute user growth to brand spends. but you can get a guesstimate, right? You can do things like brand recall studies, um, propensity to spend, your willingness to spend, and you can also see, as long as, the only way that we found is if you keep everything else the same and then add brand spends for a limited time and remove it, then the delta that you get can be fairly attributed to that brand spend. But the only way we found is that if then everything else has to stay the same, right? Only then. But if everything else scales up like it does in IPL, and you have brand spends in IPL, then it is almost impossible to attribute it. So you have to have a business model and an ability to project to like 95, 99% accurate for you to really be able to measure the effectiveness of your brand spends to the T. Very difficult.
Right. So we have Soumya Arya, who thinks that people have some negative perception about fantasy sports platforms. So when you were entering into Indian market, how did you come out to this notion?
So I think disruptors in most fields have had negative perception to begin with. Whether you go back in time to talk about, let's say, Bollywood, right? Bollywood was kept as like, oh, people, girls from good families don't go and act in Bollywood, etc. Today, it's one of the most acclaimed. It's like an amazing thing, right? If you know people who are movie stars, right? They're the movers and shakers in India. They are highly sought after and acclaimed and respected. If you look at the stock market was thought as sattabazi, right? And as gambling. Today, mutual funds, finance investments, investors, all of them, the finance community is one of the most respected professions in India. If you think about even something like e-commerce a few years back, people, 5, 7 years back, people said that, oh no, if you order something, I don't know what I'll actually get, and it's much better to go to the shop and buy. Today, it's completely changed, right? So, any disruptor has a negative perception to start with because human mentality is against change, as does fantasy sports. But I think that's where marketing plays a huge role, right? We don't do brand marketing telling people to win money, right? Our brand marketing focuses on solving the core user value that we add. Make sports more fun, make sports more engaging, play with your friends, have fun. Fantasy sports is about sports engagement, and that's what we advertise in our brand marketing. And that helps the perception to a large degree, along with partnering with all these leagues, with all these players. All of it adds to the perception improvement of fantasy sports.
Right. So, Harsh, we have one last minute, and I would like to end with this question. If you can quickly
Sure.
answer this, what has been your biggest lesson to drive growth within Gen Z generation?
That's a good question. I think our biggest lesson has been that focus on a product that's a little social, right? That gets people wanting to add their friends. If there's a product, especially for Gen Z, which is always on their phone and always in touch with people and like on 5 different social media platforms, having all kinds of conversations, you need to create a product that has true network effects. And network effects means that the product gets stronger and better for the original user as they invite their friends to play or to use it. And so that is a very, very important lesson, that you need to get people to invite their friends, not just by referral or just by giving them money for bonuses and all that, but the product has to be better when their friends join. And I think that's our biggest lesson, that with private contests, with the ability to participate only against your friends, that has especially helped us in our referrals.
Fantastic. So that's all the time we have today. Thank you so much, Mr. Jain, for being here with us.
Thank you, Aparna. It was a pleasure.
I would also like to thank our gold partners, Infopip, Financial